I am like, this is my one moment of panic. And I was like, the windows aren't opening. And Maddie's like jumping on the top of like the back of the couch, like trying to like rip the lock open. And we're just like struggling. Hello, friends. We're here. I still have my coffee. Maddie had her coffee. And we are ready to answer some of your questions.
I am a very, I really don't know my way around a coffee shop menu, so usually whatever she orders for me, something that lights me up, something that really puts a fire in my step. My requirement is lots of caffeine.
Okay, well mine is a lot more in-depth, which I know will surprise everybody watching. So I tend to like things that have marshmallow, that have hazelnut, chocolate, things like that, kind of more fall related, like cozy drinks. I don't really like Starbucks. If I do get something at Starbucks, it's a caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino. Otherwise, yeah, I kind of stick to more local places, which we have a lot of options here in Minnesota. I feel like I have to meet someone probably 2 or 3 times, because then I feel like I've kind of grasped their personality. I can kind of discern what type of person they are, and also like how trustworthy, I would say. Like if you start telling them something kind of minor and then they start telling it to other people, then you know you can't trust them with much more.
In my experience, it kind of depends on the person. I have definitely met people that, from day one, I just felt a connection with and I clicked with, and just
Me.
it depends on the person, and there are people that I feel more at ease with and more comfortable being open and vulnerable with, and then there are people that it kind of takes time to warm up to. Like she said, the trustworthy piece of it, just it's a lot of discernment, just kind of letting God lead your friendships, I guess.
Lord knows we've known too many hoes that have crossed us too many times. So you just start to learn very quickly. I feel like also we both have like kind of been in mentoring and like leadership positions. So then you also really learn people fast after kind of being burned in those scenarios a few times. Your discernment comes a little quicker too, I would say.
Ooh, I have a good answer for this, actually.
Oh, good.
It's called cranberry chicken. If anyone from my family will watch this, they're gonna know right away. They're basically in a nutshell, it's chicken breast, cranberry sauce, like the real stuff with the fruit in it, wild rice, French onion mix. I'm not describing it very well, but it's really, really good. Message me for the recipe if you want it.
DM her for the
Shout
deets.
out.
Okay, mine is funny because I feel like I was reading something the other day and they were like, Minnesota is the queen of making salads out of things that aren't salads. Mm-hmm. And we have something every Easter called Watergate salad, and it's Jell-O. Let me think about this. Jell-O, whipped cream, pineapple, and marshmallows.
Yeah, we have that in my family too.
It's not salad.
It's not salad,
like
but I know what you're talking about.
Every salad recipe that like came to my mind was not really a salad. Secondarily to that, I would say our family does lefse every between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we take a portion of like our mashed potatoes and we don't put like garlic or butter in it, and then we just make it into lefse, which is a Norwegian dessert if you've never had it.
Probably you.
Oh my gosh.
I feel well, first of all, my friend group is very small. You're looking at it, but
she said period.
Yeah, I feel like the social media presence that you have.
Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome.
I slip you a 20 underneath the screen. I was gonna say the same for a friendship. I would say that you have been the most influential in the last year, and I just feel like probably the last 2 years, I would say. I actually was looking back recently for your birthday, and I was looking at memories in like 2016 and 2017, and I was like, where's Maddie? Like, you weren't even really in there. I feel like we kind of like grew, and then we like grew back together. So I would say Maddie really just in life season, I think in morals, in faith, and everything, we're kind of more on the same page. For my family, I would say my cousin Nick. He was super instrumental in my faith when I was younger, and has been, like, even now. I think I love his wife, like Kim, shout out to you. And I just love their family and love what they're doing. I really admire that Nick is someone who, like, he puts his mind to something and then he just does it. I'm very much someone who is like, okay, what's the plan? Like, what's every detail? And I always admire people who just go, I want to do this, and then they just do it, and they're kind of like, we'll figure it out along the way, because I'm not like that at all. But I admire that in him. Look at that bird. I'm sorry, it's just so pretty.
That bird?
The orange one up on the side.
Oh, that's an Oriole.
Cool. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an Oriole. They eat oranges.
Really? Is that why they're orange?
Yeah, it turns their feathers orange.
I feel like you're lying to me, like, about that oatmeal bath thing. A couple years ago, I got bed bugs, really bad bites all over my body, and Maddie, it was an oatmeal bath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She told me you put oatmeal in the bathtub, and it'll go away. And I was like, well, what about you clean your... And then she told me she could eat it. I think that's the part that confused me.
I told you to fill your bathtub with oatmeal, take a bath in it to just, like, soothe your body. But then to eat the oatmeal to soothe your body from the inside out. And she believed me.
No. I asked, what about the bleach in your bathtub? Like, when you clean it? And then she just was much smarter than me.
I very quickly texted a friend that I knew you would ask, and I was like, Kaylee's going to ask you about this. Just agree with everything I said. And
I
like,
did, and that's where I should have known. It was time to kick him to the curb. I knew 3 years ago. Anyways.
Did we just say
Did we say anything at the same time?
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Soul Sisters, shout out. You know what? Let's do this question, our favorite podcast, because we were just quoting one of the newer podcasts that we found, which is The Circuit Break. And it's run by 3 of our closest friends. One is a lot closer to Maddie because it's her boyfriend. So you should go check them out. I'll put their tag below. But another podcast that I've been loving is Goal Digger by Jenna Kutcher. She is really, I just think she's very insightful. And then the Twin Cities Collective, which is a local kind of group here in Minnesota, is run by Jenna Redfield, and her podcast is also really good. And I know that you just found one too that you like as well.
I have been listening to The Slave Stealer. It's the podcast that Tim Ballard does. He founded and runs Operation Underground Railroad. They do a lot of work just like internationally rescuing kids. And I mean adults, but they pretty heavily talk about rescuing kids from human trafficking, sex slavery, stuff like that. So I would very highly recommend that podcast, their organization, all of it. They do really good work. I would say the favorite place I've ever traveled to would be Donley, Honduras. I went there on a mission trip back in 2016. It was the first short-term mission trip I've ever been on. Changed my life. Really, I think, started a fire in my heart for missions work. I would love really to travel wherever God takes me with that goal or that mission in mind. Yeah.
Mine is a lot less faith related. I was trying to think of my favorite city I've been to, and honestly, I feel like we've talked about Malibu like 100 times, and there's just something, we went to LA about a month ago, and Malibu was just so peaceful, and it was so relaxing. I just loved it, and I am very sad. I looked at pictures of it last night and teared up a little bit because it was just such a fun trip, and I really enjoyed that trip together. A place that I want to go, hopefully, is Tokyo, Japan, for the culture, for the food, for the fashion, all of it. Like, the street fashion is just so beautiful and so colorful and fun, and I think they're so cool. So I would like to go there.
Can I just like point wherever?
Yeah, you just point it maybe at the bottom, and I'll just, or maybe we'll say it'll be, I'm trying to decide if I'm putting this on, I think I'll put this on YouTube.
Okay.
So I'll put it in the description below, so that's what you'll say.
So I just like point below.
Yeah, just be like, if you want to see a good video in the description below.
Speaking of LA, while we were out there, we filmed a pretty impressive story of what God did in my life. It's not a big deal, but it is.
I've heard some good things.
You know, like
good reviews.
Yeah, God's pretty impressive. And if you should check it out if you want to watch it, go here.
It's in the description below.
Whatever. I really have been into pretty much everything that Red Rocks Worship does. I will be a fan of Breakthrough, the live version, until the day I die. I really love that song. Maverick City's Promises, I also really love. I'll think of another one.
Okay, I'll take mine. Gyra by Elevation Worship. And it's like a collaboration between Elevation Worship and Maverick City. So that's my first one. And I like it because it has like 4 different sections to it, and all of them are strong. Like, there's not a weak point in that song. It's very good. And I think it's just a good reminder of right now in this season, as things are like all up in the air, it's kind of nice to have a song where you're like, you're reminded of who God is, and like also your identity in who He's created you to be and how much He loves you. Secondarily, I am having a big, like, 2010, like, it's not really EDM, because I know people who actually like EDM and go to festivals will be like, that's not the correct term, but kind of that, like, electronic music of, like, 2010, that was, like, okay, like, Pitbull, like, Nicki Minaj was featured on a ton of the songs, like Calvin Harris, kind of just like festival music. I'm really into that right now. So I was trying to think of like one song I'm really liking from that, but just that genre right now has kind of been the vibe this spring/summer.
There's one song that I've been hearing on the radio, and I feel like I'm going to get his name wrong, and I'm sorry to this man if I do.
This man I don't know.
It's called either Be Alright or Everything Will Be Alright, and I think it's Evan Kraft, and I know Danny Goki is featured on that song, and it's just really beautiful. It's kind of acoustic. There's Spanish in it, and I like it. They're at some points they're kind of speaking to God, saying like, I know that, you know, your words say that everything will be alright, but right now it feels like I'm not going to make it through the night. And then, you know, the whole world's in His hands. Everything's going to be all right. It reminds me of the Psalms, where he basically is like, I'm drenching my bed with tears. I'm like an inch from death. Like, nothing's going right for me, but God is still good and everything's going to be okay. And it kind of like gets out what you're feeling and gets out, you know, speaks to what you're going through, but then it circles back and reminds your soul that everything's going to be fine. I think it's Evan Kraft. I don't know.
I don't know him. Also, my third one would probably be Parabolic, and I don't even remember what the artist's name is, so I'll have all the names like below here on the screen. But Parabolic is really good, and it's just one that gets you like pumping and jamming. Otherwise, I would say Super Bloom. I think they're called Mr. Wives. I know they're not Sister Wives. I don't remember what their name is, though. It's Super Bloom, but I'll put that below as well.
I don't hate it, but I have to be in the mood for it. Like, I feel like people are like, I'd rather cut off my own arm than eat Canadian bacon pineapple pizza, and I'm kind of like, one, I've never hated anything that much, but two, like, then just don't eat it. I'm just kind of like, if I'm in the mood, I'll eat it. But if not, then I'll eat something else.
So that's what I like about you. Things don't really ruin your life.
No, I don't.
As you're like, yeah, one time I like threw up for 10 days straight and I had a brain tumor. Like, I could
It's all
care
about
less.
perspective. What really matters in life. Like, when you fought that hard to survive, you're kind of like, eat what you want. I don't care.
It's true. I like Canadian bacon pizza. Again, I have to be in the mood for it. But I'm just like a plain cheese girl. Like, that's just my dream. If I were to order you'll have to answer this next. If I were to order like a dream pizza, it would be like tons of cheese. It would be Alfredo sauce, and it would be a stuffed crust with cheese.
You would not poop for 5 days.
Oh, I can't wait.
Puke for 10 days.
I cannot wait. I love cheese.
My favorite pizza order these past couple months has been from Papa Murphy's. It's like the chicken bacon artichoke one with spinach. I put like garlic and all these seasonings on it. I love just loading it up. You know, if I don't get that, it's usually, I'll make like Philly steak and cheese pizzas, like sausage, black olives, green peppers, mushrooms. Like, bury me with mushrooms. I will put them on anything.
That made me squirm. I hate mushrooms.
Love them. I'll eat yours.
Good.
No, plain cheese pizza would make me feel like I was babysitting and eating the kids' leftovers.
I just love cheese. It's so simple. It's such like a simple pleasure. Like when Linnea's like lactose intolerant, it makes me...
You're like...
Oh, I'm like, give me all your dairy. I love dairy. Do you have to make your own? Or do you go to places, your own pizza?
Different places have gluten-free.
Okay.
So I just order it specifically like that. But I usually will build my own just because I like creating different dishes. You know, even if it's not pizza, I'll just like make my own pasta dish, whatever. I've made like stir fry and Chinese food and stuff like that.
I'm just sitting here envisioning somebody at like Domino's being like I made build my own, and it's like cheese, 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 stuffed with cheese. Like, it's just every cheese option they have. The last question that we got was funniest memory together, and we were thinking about it, and I think we both agree that this past week was probably one of the funniest memories that we've ever had together. I surprised Maddie for her birthday, and we went up to like Duluth area. We stayed in a place in Superior, Wisconsin, which is just like across the border from Duluth, like 10 minutes. And we were staying in this beautiful apartment. It was like it used to be like an old, probably like an office building or something. It's like on a main street, so it's got the shops, and then like there's apartments above. So it's like an old building that they remade. And the whole thing was just like so aesthetically pleasing. We even joked that everything in there was like a prop, which became like a little too real later on.
Yeah.
Like, it was a joke at first, and then it wasn't a joke anymore. So we just had like the best time. We went out to dinner. We were on like the water at dinner and out on a deck area having pasta. Maddie was like, it's the first time I've had Alfredo in a long time. She was happy. I was happy. When we were in LA, we started watching Chris Lee Knows Best at night, and so we found it on the TV. We were so excited. We just vegged out, and we went to bed. And the next morning, I had slept so well. I got up at 6:30 to check some things for work. It was so peaceful, but they had a pour over, like the kettle that you put the water in, and then they had like a pour over, like the glass jar and the funnel. And I all night was looking forward to a pour over coffee the next morning, but I couldn't find any like grounds like to use for the pour over. And so I just decided, okay, I just won't have that. And Maddie and I the night before had joked about how Duluth, like when people say they like Duluth, they really don't like Duluth. They like Two Harbors, because Duluth is very like industrial. It's a college town. There's not a lot of like nature there. So we had made the plan to spend the night at Duluth and then go to Two Harbors in the morning for breakfast and kind of see like the more nature side of things. We had a great plan for the day planned out. But then Maddie got up and they had a Keurig. And so she said, oh my gosh, I'll just like pop open these little coffee pods for you, and you can use that as your grounds in your pour over. And I thought, perfect. The kettle was sitting by itself near the pour over thing. There was no base to it. There was nothing that really had me believing that it was not like an old-fashioned, like, what was it?
Like a tea kettle.
Yeah, like a cast iron. Is that what it would have been?
It had the finish on it that kind of made it look cast iron. There was, I mean, and it literally was just sitting by itself, like with a tea kettle, like you would just put that on the burner and just that's all you need. So there was nothing to indicate that it really needed anything else.
It did. And it was in fact an electric kettle.
Like an air pot.
Yes.
Like it had the base that you plug into the wall, put the pot on top of the base, turn it on, and then there's a coil or something inside there that heats the water up.
The base, though, was about 500 shelves above where the kettle was. So, and it wasn't, every single person was like, oh, did you look at the bottom? And I'm like, if you were there, you wouldn't have looked at the bottom either. It vouch me in. Did it look like it was like an old-fashioned, like not electric?
It did. I mean, I kind of looked at it too, and granted, I probably had just woken up and had one eye open, but I didn't see anything worth concern either. I was just like, have at it.
So I fill it up with water, and I put it, they had like an electric stove, which I'm grateful for.
Like a glass top stove.
I'm grateful for that, because that made some things a little bit easier. So I heat it up, I put the kettle on, and I turn my back to the stove, and I'm talking to Maddie. She's doing something in the living room, and we're just like joking about, I think something stupid. I think we were joking about Jacob watching Chrisley Knows Best or something, and what his reaction would have been.
Yeah.
And then I see this like steam. It looked like steam at first, like floating next to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, the water's already ready. It was so fast. And then when I turned around, there is smoke like billowing from this kettle. And in like 1 second, it went from like peaceful to like full on panic. And so I remember I turned off the stove. I like grabbed the pot. It's got like, it has like plastic
strings of melted, just like wispies coming from the bottom.
And wires like sticking out from the bottom. But I'm not thinking about any of this. I'm not thinking like, oh, I should put it in the sink. So this is the part that's like funniest to me is Maddie was like a track star. Maddie was like, there was a hallway and a balcony and like a door. And she was like a track star down that hallway, like busts open that door as fast as she can. I'm opening the door of the apartment. Granted, I have been in Airbnbs before, but they've never been under my name. They've been under my friends' names, and this was the first one that was under my name. So all of this like is going to reflect, I'm just like freaking out that it's all going to reflect back on me, or I'm going to have to pay for like a stove. So Maddie's running, she opens the door, I'm opening the front door, and we're turning on fans, and of course we don't know this house, so that was kind of comical too, like trying to find fans, especially in the living room, because I'm like hitting the... Oh, I always forget the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
I like
standing on the back of the couch trying to open the windows, but it's a third floor apartment, so the windows don't open, and we're like, ah! Like
no, this was so funny. I'm like trying to put the picture in your minds. Me holding this like basically on fire tea kettle or water pot still, and we're just got all the fans on in this place we don't know, and we're like, okay, the last thing we need to do is like we need to open windows.
Hazy beyond all belief.
It's so smoky.
So smoky. And when we talk about everything in the apartment as a prop, thank God that the smoke detector was, because it did not go off. Probably not a good thing in the grand scheme, but it served us well.
Like everything was a prop, including the thing that probably could have killed us or like saved our lives. I don't know which. But we didn't think about the fact that it's like a refurbished third floor apartment, so they don't have screens in the windows. So the windows aren't meant to open. They're just meant to have like light in your room, like natural light. So it's so funny to think back to me holding this pot that's dripping. I am like, this is my one moment of panic. And I was like, the windows aren't opening. And Maddie's like jumping on the top of like the back of the couch, like trying to like rip the lock open. And we're just like struggling. Like that was like the one time that I felt like out of control, because I was just like, that alarm is about to go off and we were about to be in so much trouble. And then it ended up being okay. the fans cleared things out. We found an exhaust fan over the stove. And then everything kind of cleared out through the hallways and stuff. Sorry to the neighbors. But then we spent the next 2 hours calling her mom, like looking up online, trying to get like all of our parents trying to be like, how do you get plastic off of a stove? Because we had this like ring, this film. At first it was like a big chunk. And Maddie, I was so surprised. You just were like, whoop, and then this huge ring, which I'll put the video in here because I have a video from that day with like the kettle and the ring of plastic in the sink. We spent the next 2 hours trying to clean it, and we got it pretty good. But I was scared because I felt like I should call the Airbnb like owners or like the people we were renting from, and the name was like Billy. And it was a couple in the photo, so I'm just like anticipating like calling this really angry man and like trying to explain to him what happened. And it turned out it was the woman. She was like so chill. She was so nice. And we made it out. We did not get to go to Two Harbors. We did head back, but it's just one of those things, I think, when you have been friends for so long, one thing that really stuck out to me was that we didn't really lose our heads like at each other. You know, we had a moment of panic with the windows, or like we even joked about when I was like, oh my gosh, the water's ready. And then it went from like peace to panic so fast. But it really stuck out to me. Like a good friendship is one where you don't like blame each other. You just get like, okay, this is our problem. Let's fix it. And then you like do the responsible and right thing. And so it turned out good.
Yeah, made it work.
And I would say that's probably our funniest memory. I mean, there's like 100 other little funny memories, but that one was like honestly a little traumatic, and I think that's why it like kind of makes it funny.
Yeah.
All right, fam. Thanks for watching our Q&A. I hope that you enjoy it. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do more, but you guys just let me know what kind of questions you'd like on another one, and we will have it like that for you. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, to like the video, and I'll see you soon.